Hello my friends. I have a couple of questions here that I thought I would answer because I've had these questions before and I think they might apply to some of you out there who are interested in this particular subject. It's 9:15 at night right now. This is the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. So it's very interesting that it's this light outside, but I apologize, the video will continue to get dark as you and I hang out for a few minutes. Brendan from El Paso asks, Mr. Norcross, I am currently training but wish to one day open my own school and teach martial arts. Can you please give me some advice on what I need to do to accomplish this goal? And then I had another question from Jared from Sandy Springs, Georgia, I think. I like your method of teaching. How does a student become a teacher in your dojo? I would love to come and train under you someday at your school. Do you have any advice? Jared and Brendan, I do have some advice, and I'll give it now. I like to stay positive as much as possible with this channel compared to many other martial art channels where I see people, bashing each other, talking bad about each other, or just saying that they're the best at everything. But I'm going to be honest, it's not an easy thing to do, okay? Now, what I can do is I'm going to insert a little clip here of the Musubi Journal, which I have all of the copies of. This was a ninja newsletter that was out in the 1980s and I think into the 1990s by one of my teachers, the Black Belt Hall of Fame member Stephen K. Hayes, who started Toshindo in 2007. I trained with Mr. Hayes since the 1980s. And I did an interview with him, I think it was around 1988, in the spring of 1988. And I talk about becoming a teacher, and I ask him for his advice. And he, through this, gives me an interview. He answers this question. But let me tell you my opinion on it, because it's quite different from 30-something years ago. Now, I have a full-time martial arts school, not a club, not a small training group, a large professional full-time dojo that I have run for 15 plus years now. And I've been teaching for 35 years and I've been training for 40 years, actually 42 years. So I know something about this subject. Now, what's really cool about this is I think that most of the stuff that I talk about with you guys will apply to almost any martial art. Of course, the best thing if you're interested in becoming a teacher and you are currently training is to talk to your sensei, talk to your teacher, and ask him or her what you need to do. And that will give you the guide and the goal that you need. But I'm assuming that these gentlemen out here were asking because they don't have a dojo that they're training at and they just kind of want some advice. What should I do? I made a little list here of things that I believe are important. However, the list is by no means complete and it's by no means perfect, and this is just my opinion as a martial art teacher and a large dojo owner. But take everything I say with a grain of salt, try it out, be skeptical, and then see if it works for you. The first thing I believe you need is passion. You have to have an unbelievable enthusiasm for martial arts if you ever want to teach it. It has to almost be like some sort of calling to you, as it was to me. I can remember, as long as I can remember as a child, I was always dreaming about martial arts. When I saw the movie Shogun, I think it was 1980 or something, and even before that I was watching Kung Fu with David Carradine and Kung Fu Theater on Saturday, Kung Fu Matinee with me and my brother would watch. Ever since I was just a young child, I wanted to be a martial artist. And when I was 8, I started to train. And then when I was about 10 or 12, I found ninjutsu, and I've been following and training and studying ever since. So if you have a passion and an enthusiasm for martial arts, that is a huge part of becoming a teacher. Now, not everyone is born with this. Some people are much older when they start to train, and they find that they develop a love and a passion for martial arts even in their 20s, 30s, or even 40s or 50s. There's no set rule to when you become passionate or how you find it. But the enthusiasm is the key to success, I believe, because there are so many hurdles to get to become an instructor and then to stay an instructor year after year, decade after decade, that if you're not enthusiastic about it, forget it. You'll never make it. Go into something else and just do martial arts as a part-time endeavor or a hobby or something you do a couple nights a week and maintain a regular full-time job. But if, Jared and Brendan, you are super passionate, enthusiastic, and you just think about martial arts constantly, that is a great sign toward success. Number 2, and these are in no particular order, relocate if necessary. Now, if you are lucky enough to have a dojo of your particular style that you want to learn in your town or city, fantastic. I have students that travel an hour and a half each way to get to my dojo, but to them that's nothing. When I started, there was no school of this particular martial art in my area, but I took Ueshido karate for several years, got my black belt in that martial art, but that was still a whole town over. It was about a 20-minute drive. And then, back then, there were no computers, no internet, so you had to travel, find the money, and travel on a plane or drive tremendous distances to go to a seminar for 3 or 4 days. Then you would get knowledge, information, take notes, you'd bring it home and train it with your friends or your training group if you had one, or solo if you were by yourself. But I had to relocate to my teacher school here in Ohio 21 years ago. I had to leave my family, I left my friends, I left a good job, I left a great girlfriend, because my calling, my passion was so strong, nothing was going to take me away from my goal and dream, which was to study under this teacher and to move. So I rented a U-Haul, I had a couple $100, I didn't know a single person here, and I traveled from the East Coast, a small town called West Bridgewater, Massachusetts, which is about 30 miles south of Boston, and I traveled 1,000 miles west, and I ended up in southwestern Ohio in Dayton, and I signed up as soon as I got there with my teacher's school. He knew I was coming, but he was the only person I knew. I didn't know anybody else. And I had to find an apartment. I had to get 2 jobs in order to afford the training, because the training even back then was $200 or more a month. Plus I had to save money for all of the seminars, and I'll go into that a little bit later. I was obsessed. I lived on bologna sandwiches and water and trained 5 days a week with my teacher. The calling was that strong for me to do this as a full-time living. This was my college. This was my everything. You may have to relocate. If you want to relocate and train at our dojo, you may. Cincinnati area has a lot of good jobs that you could get. We have Procter & Gamble here. We have Johnson & Johnson. And several other large tech companies that perhaps you could get a job at if you wanted to train with me at my school. But relocation is necessary. If you have to move 2 or 3 towns away to train with your karate teacher or your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, do that, because if you're passionate, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot in your life. You're going to have to save money, and you're going to have to leave your family and friends, perhaps, to pursue your dream. Your dream is not going to come knocking on your door. You're going to have to pursue it actively. So relocation, if necessary, is another step toward becoming a teacher. Never, ever, ever stop being the student. This is so important. Even if you've been teaching for 20, 30, 40 years, never stop the excitement of learning. This is the Shoshin principle. Everything should be seen as brand new. You're never going to be good enough at the martial arts, as I don't feel I am. Even today in classes just a few hours ago, I was working on some new stuff that I have never done before. There's so much to learn about martial arts and the human body and how to deal with it, that you can spend 10 lifetimes and never know it all. So for me, don't lose the passion of being a student first. Find good teachers, have multiple teachers, and never stop being a student. Even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, never stop learning. That is so important to keep your enthusiasm up. If you have the drive to continue to learn, you're way ahead of the other people that won't. Be not necessarily the best student in your class or school, but be the most consistent. Not all of the best students become instructors. Sometimes the students that are the best end up moving away or breaking an arm or something, or I don't know, whatever happens. Their ego gets too big and they fight with the teacher and they break away. Lots of things can happen, but be the most consistent student. You want to be the guy or the girl that is always at every event. You are there in class many days a week, not just 1 or 2. You're there 4 or 5 or 6. You are there all the time. You're the first person in class to line up. You're the last person in the parking lot to leave. You want to be a pain in the butt to your instructor. You want to ask questions. And this brings me to the next one. I want to steal from my sensei. And by that I mean I want to take copious notes of what he's talking about. I want to ask him deep questions about philosophy and about the technique, where it comes from, the history. I just want to be there all the time, and that's what I did with my teacher. I was a pain in the butt. I was there at 3 in the afternoon with my nose pressed against the window, banging on the door to come in. And I was there really early, way before classes. I didn't get paid or anything. Matter of fact, I was paying them. But I would, can I mop? Can I sweep the floor? What could I do to help the teacher out? And I would go to Mr. Hayes' house and rake leaves and cut down branches, and we would meditate and do sword stuff and train in his backyard. I did all kinds of stuff for many, many years. You have to sacrifice and take care of your teacher. And the more you take care of them, the closer you'll become. They'll start to give you more and more secrets and things that they wouldn't normally give someone that they didn't know very well. It's very important to be the most consistent student. Steal from the sensei. Take all the techniques you can. They want you to do that. We want the next generation to be better than we are. That is my goal as a teacher, is to make students create the next generation or generations that are way better than me. And I'm going to give them the technology and the secrets and the mistakes that I've made, and I'm going to make them better, so that the people now that are 20, 30, even some kids that are 10 or 12, when I'm old and dying or dead, they can take over and continue the tradition or start their own school. That's really important. Now, have multiple sources is another thing I believe is very important if you want to be a teacher. Don't just have one instructor, have many. Most martial arts, you have several people that are high-level black belt that will come and visit your school, or if your teacher's really good, they will hire people to come and perform a seminar. They will continue to train with their teachers. So many martial arts have several high-level guest instructors that can come in, show up to all of those seminars, pay the money, be there early, stay late, go out to dinner with them, pick their brain about how to run a school, how to teach students, how to be a better black belt. All of these things will come from multiple sources. Study the books on the history of your martial art. Know everything there is to know about the history. Go back hundreds of years if your martial art is old enough. Have multiple sources. Have many notebooks, many shelves of books on all martial arts, not just your own, because you want to have comparative study as well. Attend every event, every seminar, every extracurricular class that is offered by your school. This is what separates people and will make the future instructors. If you're just showing up, again, 1 or 2 days a week, you are never going to excel, you're never going to stick out, and the instructor is never going to offer you a job or an apprenticeship. He or she is not going to ask you to coach because you just don't stick out. So again, go to the seminars on Saturday. Go to the weekend seminars. Travel with your teacher and go to his events. If he's doing a demonstration or something, go and be the uke for him. These are things that are going to make you become a teacher. Let the teacher know your intentions. Ask questions. Tell your teacher, look, sensei, I want to be an instructor one day. Now, unfortunately, over the years, I've taught thousands, literally thousands of people. I've had 100 people tell me they want to be a teacher, and only about 5 have made it. So as a teacher, we hear that phrase a lot. Oh, sensei, I want to be the next teacher of the school. I want to be an instructor underneath you. I want to do all this. And everybody gets excited at first, but if, that's going to go away in 6 months or a year. If year after year you continue to tell your sensei, look, I haven't gone anywhere, I'm still putting in the time, I want to be a teacher, he or she will know that you mean what you say, that you're not lying to them just to brown nose or get some favor. You really mean it. Your actions will speak louder than your words. But it is important to communicate with your teacher so that they don't overlook you. You want to make sure you tell them, I want to be a teacher, what do I need to do, what courses do I need to take. This will all help you, okay? Because I've made mistakes in this stuff, and I have done a lot of this wrong, so I know what I'm talking about here. Study the history, I mentioned that already. Make sure you know everything about your martial art, and know how to defeat it. Have a steel man argument, not just anything. You want a steel man argument, look that up. You want to be able to argue against your martial art. If you don't do any ground fighting in your martial art, you better study ground fighting. If you don't do any weapons, you better pick up a sword and learn that. Whatever it might be, get good at it. If you're not a grappling school, learn grappling. If you're not a striking school, take some courses on striking. Be a well-rounded martial artist, and people will follow you more. So study the history. Hopefully your art is deep enough. My particular martial art has 9 lineages, 9, not 1, 9, that are almost 1,000 years old, several of them. So I have stacks of books on this subject, and I can never learn enough because there's so many periods of Japanese history that you have to know about. And then you go back into Chinese history, which is even older. It's endless, endless study. And you need to be excited about the history. Work on your attitude, pull others up. I've had people that wanted to be instructors, and what they did is they held down other people. When they had any little tiny bit of power in the dojo, they let it go to their head. They had a huge ego, and they secretly sabotaged others who also wanted to be an instructor. And sometimes I didn't even know about it. It was behind my back. So you don't want to be a person who holds people back. You want to be the one that pulls people up. Always have a rope at the top of the mountain, throwing it over the precipice and pulling people up that cliff. It's about teamwork. And the more of a team player that you are, the more likely you become a teacher that people respect and like. If you are a bully or a jerk coming up through the ranks, no one is going to want to be underneath you. No one's going to want to study with you. No one's going to want to go on a car ride with you to the next seminar. No one wants to go out to eat with you. Make sure you are a nice and honorable person, and that you have a positive attitude all the time, and that you're willing to put the time in and effort to help other people move up through the ranks, even if it means they're going to excel you. Push people up. Don't drag people down because of jealousy and envy. It's not an attractive quality, and in myself, I will never hire a teacher or give my time of day to someone who I believe is really arrogant or mean to other people. And I've even had to remove a couple of students over many decades who their ego is just so big. I said, you know something, this school just isn't for you. Go train somewhere else. You're out of our school, because we don't want that toxicity, that negativity in our dojo. You leave your ego at the front door whenever you walk into train. There's no ego here. We're all equal. Goes without saying, work your butt off year after year. Not month after month, year after year after year. You will see many of your peers disappear. People will quit. Fellow students who you thought you would be forever entwined to will disappear. They will lose their job and have to move. They will have children and develop a family and get married and move away. They will get injured and hurt. Their ego will be hurt by something the sensei says, and they'll disappear. 1,000 reasons why people quit. But make sure you personally stay the course and hold that steady. You don't want to be manipulated or affected too much by other people who around you will disappear and quit. It's very important. I liken it to a ship. Steer your course, because you're going to have people that fall off the edge of the boat, and you can't always stop the ship to save them. Sometimes they have to put in the effort to come back to the dojo. It's up to you to maintain your course and keep moving forward. Have compassion, help people out when they want, but you have to work your butt off in order to become a teacher. Endure, persevere. Be ready to learn and advance. That's a tricky statement because a lot of people don't have the confidence. You have to be ready to learn. You have to be ready to make mistakes. And you have to be ready for the responsibility when the teacher, one day hopefully, gives you the responsibility. One day my teacher said to me when I was coaching, look, you're going to run this adult class next. And I'm like, Sensei, I'm scared. I don't have any experience. And he said, no, you're going out there and by yourself, you're going to run this class. And I was so nervous. I was scared to death. Because a lot of these people were older than me. And I'm like, who am I at a 25-year-old kid going to lecture some 50-year-old man about life and things like that? I was so scared. But I was humble. And I did lead the class. And I made several mistakes. And my teacher took notes and critiqued me later on. But I did it. I was very scared, but I did it. And then the next day he said, come back tomorrow, do it again. And I did it over and over. And in about a couple months, I started to get better at it. I loosened up. I showed the students my real self. We had more humor in class. And I got to know the students better, and they started to respect me more because I was respectful to them. It's very important if you are a young instructor that if you have students that are older than you, that you have to treat them a certain way. You can't go around when you're 19 years old lecturing a 50-year-old about how to live life. They have way more life experience, so be humble to anyone older than you. So, endure and persevere. Don't give up. Don't quit. Just by not quitting, you might be an instructor. You might be the last guy standing. There might be 50 people that signed up when you did, and only 2 are left. And it's you and someone else, and they don't want to be a teacher. And you do. So luck has a lot to do with it. Being at the right time in the right place has a lot to do with it. Your teacher might get injured or develop a disease or something, and they have to quit, and they're like, hey, here's the key to the dojo. You want it? I've heard stories about this. Many interesting things will happen over your martial art career if you stay with it decade after decade. Expect hardships. Expect many, many, many hardships. You have to toughen your hide. You have to develop a thick skin and expect others to try to tear you down. Over the course of your martial art career, and many of you out there who are studying right now know that there are going to be people around you who are going to compete with you. They're going to try to tear you down and keep you from becoming any better because they're going to be envious or jealous. That human nature, that competition, is often ripe within a dojo. The instructor has to keep that stuff down by his or her leadership, and we do that at our school quite a bit. We don't have a lot of ego in our school. Everyone there is super friendly, family friendly, goal-oriented, and very positive. But you have to toughen your hide because you're going to get a lot of criticism, a lot of feedback by your instructors over the years, and you can't be a little wimpy baby and go in your little safe space and your little puffy cloud. You have to be a warrior. You have to be a bushi. You have to be a samurai. And that's not just to serve, it's also to be tough. So when obstacles are in your way, like injury, financial hardships, diseases, COVID-19, you don't quit. You keep going. You show up when the teacher tells you to, and you take the class, and you become a leader. This is how you become an instructor in many different types of martial arts. None of this stuff I'm telling you is a secret. It's just a formula. And the formula to success is believing in your skills, believing in yourself, following your dream, which becomes a goal, developing perseverance and a thick skin, developing the passion to learn and to want to learn more, always being a student before a teacher, knowing that there's always going to be someone better than you, and stronger and faster than you and smarter than you. But that does not mean that you are not worthy of opening a beautiful dojo and serving your community and the adults and the kids around you and your family and your friends. And you can make your family super proud if you tell them your goal and dream and you follow it, just like I did. I'm one of the few people I know that actually knew what he wanted to do at age 8 and actually did exactly what I wanted to. I have failed a lot, but I have always failed upwards. And now at my age, I have accomplished every single goal that I've wanted to in my life, without exception. Yes, I've had to sacrifice many other things in life in order to make this one stronger. I've had hardships, sadness, depressions, the most unbelievable highs and successes. I've had money, some fame, some success, terrible lows, loneliness, you name it. I've had students backstab me, lie to me, cheat me, you name it. Teachers that disappointed me. All kinds of things happened. But I still go on. And those of you out there who are watching this right now, I want you to really write some notes about your goal, write about your dream, and then start action tomorrow to go toward that dream. Then, when you go down and you fall into a hole or an obstacle comes up, come back to this video and watch it again, rewrite your dreams, make the checklist a little bit easier, maybe the goals are a bit shorter, a little easier to attain, and then after a while you'll develop a momentum of accomplishment, and in just a few years you might one day have your own school. On that note, my friends, my school is open, and you are always welcome to come and train with me. If you want, get to Cincinnati, Ohio, and come and train with us for a week. Spend the money to come to classes, spend the money on your hotel, get the plane ticket as I did 1,000 times, and come and train, and I will be more than welcome to teach you whatever I can in that full week, and we'll become good friends. And I'll take you out to dinner, okay? And we'll go over this stuff, and I'll show you how to become an instructor if you're really that hungry for it. But you have to actually do it. You can't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. I hope it's not too dark out here. I'm sitting under an umbrella that has these cool solar lights on it. So I'm getting a cool glow. Mosquitoes are coming out, so I'm gonna go inside right now. But listen, thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you got something out of this talk. I really appreciate your time. Make sure that you guys subscribe to our channel because we put out free videos constantly. We have 300 or 400 free videos right now, and we're going to continue this all throughout the next several years. So please subscribe to our channel and click that little bell thingy or you don't get notified. These will not end up in your feed and you'll miss a lot of these videos. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope that your dreams and goals do come true, and I hope that this video has helped you a little bit. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.